we are. Season 36 of Survivor Ghost Island. This was episode 5, I guess.
Yes, the fourth episode. For us, the fourth television episode.
But the first episode was 2 episodes. So this continues the conundrum of the numbering. But we are here. This was the episode that aired March 21st, 2018.
A Diamond in the Rough.
A Diamond in the Rough. It's from my favorite Disney animated movie, Aladdin.
Yeah, I was hoping for more Aladdin references than what we had.
Is Chris the Aladdin of this season? No.
He's that prince. A prince that came earlier that Jasmine turned away.
That what was the tiger's name?
Raja.
Raja bit the back of his pants out. Ooh. Yeah. Well, anyway, it was a fantastic episode tonight where things are getting real there and things are getting tough, especially for old Malolo.
Yes, absolutely. Have we said that where segments has spoken?
Oh, yeah, Amber, let's go to that. Let's do that.
I'm Amber.
I'm Mark, and this is Segments As Spoken, a Survivor fan cast, and we are very, very excited to be here discussing this amazingly great episode tonight.
Yes, we are passionate Survivor fans. We haven't seen all the seasons, but the ones we have seen we've loved, and we are really excited to be talking about Ghost Island. It's a little spin-off of our regular podcast, which is just called Segments, and it's about various topics that we talk about in different, hopefully humorous segments.
Well, yeah, when just this last one, we talked all about Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson.
Yeah.
And it was a lot of fun.
How would he do on Survivor?
Oh, he would crush it.
He would dominate in every area.
But he couldn't be voted out because he'd have the most amazing social game as well.
Exactly. Outwit, outplay, outlast. That's The Rock's entire life.
Absolutely. So going into this episode, Amber, we were a little bit concerned with what was the reaction to Malolo's big play last week with the Michael's immunity idol and the lie about how it's going to cover 2 people, but it didn't. And then he played it wrong, unfortunately, and they voted out Brandon.
It was a bit of a Hail Mary move for him to lie about the idol and say that it could potentially protect 2 people. He was hoping that his opposing tribe mates would have tried to vote out himself and Brandon.
Yeah.
I don't know what he was hoping for.
Yeah.
Anyway, he used the idol on Stephanie. There were no votes for Stephanie. It didn't do her any good, and Brandon was sent home.
Which was very sad. But going back to the camp, the camp afterwards, we saw that on tonight's episode. They were pretty cool about it.
Actually, yeah. I was really impressed with everybody's reaction.
And Brandon, especially when you consider this guy is 18 years old.
Michael, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Michael, that he's 18 years old. He comes back to camp, and he's just like, hey, I hope you guys understand. No hard feelings, but our backs are up against the wall, and we just had to throw whatever we could out there and just see if we could make something happen. And
that worked. I always wonder why people aren't more honest about that type of situation. Like, obviously, if you're trying to snake around and whatever, but he was just trying to do what he could to stay in the game, and that's what he told people. And Bradley, who was kind of his big rival, he's like, well, that was kind of a wake-up call for me. And some of the girls were like, hey, that was a really good lie, Michael.
Yeah.
Like, patting him on the back.
Yeah. It was a great play. I was listening to an interview with Brandon after he got voted out. Brandon after he got voted out, and he said that he really thought that Michael was a Survivor prodigy, and he at some point, they didn't say when. I think it's probably because it's a spoiler for later in the season. Well, it can't be. Well, they didn't say when he found out that Michael was 18, and he said, I was absolutely shocked. And he's
cool.
like, I thought he could pass for 28. And just
he could have found out later, like at Ponderosa or something. But
yeah. And
interesting.
So how did he, the way he thought about the game, and the way he approached it, and his maturity.
Yeah, his maturity
is crazy. And I think we saw a little bit of the 18-year-old come out tonight. He kind of broke down a little bit. I guess everybody breaks down.
Yeah,
on
you
Survivor,
sure could.
but,
it's a hard game.
So that was great. And you really saw the Malolo 3 doing whatever they could,
Yep.
going, we are abandoning old Malolo. We have to.
You have to.
And try to see if we can save our individual games because we can't save one another.
And you're not going to sway two people to come over and vote with you. So I liked it when Bradley was talking about Michael, and he's like, I thought he was just like a fratty bro, but I guess he's got some game.
Yeah, that was great.
A fratty bro. That's what they should have named the episode.
Oh, yeah. So did you think that Bradley was as jerky this week as he has been the last two episodes?
No, and he said there was a few moments where I thought I was going home at Tribal Council, and I think that sobered him up.
Yeah.
I think he just thought he was king of the castle, and he's on top of everything, and everybody's going to be nice to him and do whatever he wants, and that really shook him. So
yeah, I didn't think about that being the reason. I think that's absolutely right. I completely agree with you. Awesome. So then we moved to the reward challenge.
Yes, playing for coffee and pastries.
And I could not believe how excited everybody was. But there was this one shot of like Kellen was standing behind Stephanie, and like when they said coffee and pastries, like Kellen put her hand on Steph's shoulder, and she grabbed, like, I had never seen such excitement for coffee and pastries.
And that was cross tribal excitement. I mean, previous tribes, they're enemies in their own tribe.
Yeah, absolutely. And Chris was very excited on Navidi to get those.
Do you think they kept the coffee hot?
I don't.
It came out of like a weird stump dispenser, but how could it be hot?
Maybe
I mean, they probably don't care, but
they probably didn't brew it. Maybe it was. My guess is it's some sort of a thermos that they wrapped in bamboo to give it that Survivor flair.
There's no Contigo in Ghost Island, so we've got to wrap it in a log.
Yeah, exactly. So, yeah, they were just enjoying themselves. So before we get to that part, Amber, let's talk about the reward challenge. Can you tell us what was the reward challenge tonight?
Okay, so we've got our classic Survivor type obstacle course. This time there's some tables that you need to leap over. Everybody needs to do that. And then you've got some really big, heavy sandbags. So you need to have some people with muscle. They've got to move a bunch of sandbags out of the way so that you can pull a lever. You see the lever pretty early on, but you cannot move it unless there's enough sandbags out of the way. After they pull the lever, then a whole bunch of small sandbags drop. I think they said 60. And then tribe members throw those down the line, and they all have to be collected in a basket before they can move on. And then you've got somebody trying to hit a target with the small sandbags, which spins, dropping a flag. If you have 3 flags that drop, you win.
Man, somebody's job is coming up with these games.
Oh, yeah.
And they just maybe they don't get more involved, but they seem like there's so many parts and pieces going on.
They kind of have to come up with something different, more or less, every year. So,
yeah, there is one that they repeat periodically. Anyway, but that's not important. But I think there's some. Isn't in Big Brother? Don't they bring some very similar challenges?
For sure. And people
back?
kind of get excited to play the ones they've heard of before. But yeah. I like it when they introduce these new elements.
Yeah. And so it was a very, very good challenge. I think it really highlighted some speed, some agility, some strength, and then some throwing accuracy, a lot, and puzzlement.
Yeah,
Puzzle
so
town.
for the part of throwing those big sandbags, they had to have Bradley and Michael on the one team and James and Dom on the other team. However, the James and Dom team, who's at Navidi, they have a lot more people to choose from. Bradley and Michael were the only strong guys when it came to moving the sandbags on Malolo, and that's scary. They don't have a lot of strength. They voted out Brendan. There's so many times this episode I was like, I bet Brendan could have helped with that.
Yeah, I think that was a rough choice. And so I did like seeing Bradley and Michael working together. Like you said, they kind of had to, but it gave me this hope that maybe they're going to actually kind of come together a little bit in this. Because they are losing a lot. After they won this challenge, they said, we've won back-to-back-to-back challenges.
Yeah, 3 in a row.
And so
reward,
they're
immunity, reward.
Rushing it, getting stronger, and getting tighter. Oh, wait. What did I... Oh, man, I'm so confusing, isn't it?
You said it right.
Did I say it right?
I think so.
Okay.
So Bradley and Michael moved their sandbags first and dropped it, but then Navidi took a lead when we're talking about the small sandbags, and it's time to throw them at the target. We had a secret weapon, Navidi did.
Yeah, so Chris Noble, he just steps up. He gets these small sandbags, and as far as the edit was concerned anyway, every single one he throws, and he hits this little 3-sided spinny thing, and it just every single time, bam, bam, bam. And then Seabass gets up for, I guess, Malolo, and he's throwing them. He misses all over the place. He can't hit anything. And suddenly, suddenly Navidi is just absolutely out in
totally
out
dominated.
Yep. Because Chris doesn't miss.
Nope.
And Jeff is very excited about this.
I love watching Jeff get excited.
And Jeff's like, Chris, you know, do you have some experience in this? And Chris, very cool, he's like, I've tossed a few rocks in my day. Come on. But man, he was so he played college baseball.
And he was a pitcher, so he was used to hitting a target. At one point I wrote down, Jeff said, it's an amazing display of an arm. Jeff has to just constantly narrate these competitions, and it cracks
so
me
good
up.
at it. He's so good at it. And then they win. Navidi wins, and Chris just says, I want those pastries. They're so good. The guy is intense. He is happy. I am just liking him more and more. The more screen time he gets, the more I like him.
I'm not convinced yet. He's swaying me a little bit, but I'm certainly not convinced like you. So Navidi wins. They have to pick a Malolo tribe member to go to Ghost Island. They choose the Rocks again.
Choose Rocks. I think they're going to do that because of this split. Nobody's going to unanimously
I'm curious
decide.
if it went the other way, because we feel like the other tribe is bonding more. Are they still split on old tribal lines, or would they have come together to vote a particular person?
Yeah.
I don't know.
And it's hard because it seems like they get a lot less airtime.
Oh, for sure. But maybe
we
don't
know
if they would have lost, we would have seen more of them, I guess.
Yeah, and so what are those connections? Are those tribal boundaries being crossed? Are these kind of hinted at alliances actually happening, but they don't really need to enforce an alliance at this point because they're not going to tribal council. And so our Wendell and Dominic and Donathan and Laurel alliance? Maybe. It would be awesome if they were. Maybe not. We don't know. We saw tonight after the little bit we did see of Navidi after their reward challenge that Chris very, very wisely went and said, hey, I see that, Jonathan, I see you're a little bit down. What's going on? He talked to him
really smart.
And just built that emotional connection with him.
Yep, and I didn't see Chris necessarily having that in him. So that did help.
Yeah, so that's kind of the first half of the episode, and 2 huge moves by Chris.
Absolutely.
So good job, Chris.
So they did send Stephanie to Ghost Island just by the rocks. She did not have an option to play a game, which that really could have swung something in her favor. If anybody had a excuse to take the risk and play the game no matter what, it would have been Stephanie.
And so at this point, it seems that somebody in production must have said, go left to right on the little jars on Ghost Island,
right?
because everybody's just following along. But also maybe just psychologically, you're just like, I don't really know what to do. This is what seems to be everybody's doing. I'm just going to do that.
Yeah, you have as much chance, I guess, either way.
Yeah.
But did they set it up so we only want to have a competition every few weeks? Or do they want, I don't know what they want.
Yeah, because that if it was all random, it could be, you get all of them at the very beginning of the game.
Yeah.
So they probably don't want that, but it was not a super exciting Ghost Island for Stephanie. She couldn't play a game.
Not at all. But she got plenty of rice and got to stay in that. What did I call it? Kuchi Island.
Kuchi Island, and we got a little bit of backstory for her, which is nice. I really like Stephanie.
I don't know. I mean, I do like her, and I think she was a good player. But I feel like for her to bring in the whole, well, I want to win for my kids, and I want money. Like everybody has a reason they want to win. I mean, you can say that, but it was almost, I don't know. I felt like she was saying like, well, I have kids that are dependent on it, and I don't want to let down my kids. Like I deserve it more than somebody else, and I don't know. I just felt like the way she presented it was more whiny or entitled than.
I didn't take it that way. I just kind of, because Jeff did very clearly just like, well, what are you here for? And so she didn't really.
And she didn't even bring up the kids till the end after Jeff really pressed her. But on the island, just to us, to the cameras.
Just to us,
she brought up her kids a lot. And everybody wants to win. Everybody wants somebody to be proud of them on the end of the night. It's not like she's got some special reason to deserve it.
Yeah, there was, do you remember way back in season 12 or 13, there was, who was the older guy that just kept winning competition after competition after competition? Everybody wanted him out. Oh, I can't remember his name, but he won a reward challenge. It was the family reward challenge, and he had his wife, and then crazy long hair guy had his son.
Yep.
And there was somebody else that had their sister or mom or something. Mm-hmm. And the guy who kept winning was like, well, I was going to pick these people because this is my wife and that's his kids. Your mom, that doesn't mean anything. Oh, man. And that
didn't
just
go over well.
The explosions, the fireworks that happen. It's not a great story because I can't remember any of the names.
And probably a lot of people haven't watched that as recently as we have.
True. But it just
Terry.
shows.
Terry was the older guy's name.
Is so good.
He brought Shane and somebody else.
Look at you in the memory.
Came back to me.
Good job.
But we did watch it pretty recently. So we don't want to skip over the titular rap that titled the episode.
Chris's rap.
He was pretty proud of himself and his baseball arm.
His baseball arm and his rap. He rapped in a season preview episode.
Yeah, I remember that.
And there's these little glimpses. I just like him more and more. And that little extra that I watched last week with him and the shark. And I was
I still haven't seen that. Well, I'm glad he's growing on you. He's growing on me too, just not as fast. So I loved seeing the food bound to the tribe. That's always they're just always so happy when they get to eat, and they're just loving each other and slapping each other on the back, and it really bonds them. And I think that tribe is going to be really strong.
Going to be so strong, and yeah, they don't have to have these divisive discussions right now. And there's probably they're talking. What are we going to do?
It forces you to be divisive, but this doesn't.
Get rid of Chris. It doesn't really matter right now, and
exactly.
And so this is really giving Chris a chance because he was on the outs, but now because they keep winning, he is kind of integrating back into the tribe, and I don't think he's any longer kind of the obvious. Let's get rid of Chris.
Yeah, absolutely.
So we'll see. Then we move into the immunity challenge.
Right away. And at the time, you were like, immunity challenge already? I mean, it felt like you went straight from the reward to immunity. There was not that much between it. We never actually got a chance to look at the other tribe who didn't win. Usually we get a few shots of them going, I bet all that food tastes good. Mm-hmm. Do you want another snail? But we didn't get that this time.
Exactly. So it was a pretty cool challenge. There was the floating bridge, and then they had to run over another more regular bridge and untie something. Oh, no, and they were carrying like a surfboard kind of a thing.
Yeah.
It was tied to a rope, and then they untied the thing. They jump in the water, and the other members crank this thing that pulls the rope
huge
back.
Cranking thing, yeah.
Oh, that was fun. I would have loved to do that. And so first they send out Chelsea and Wendell, and Wendell's flying for Navidi.
Yes.
And Chelsea's kind of struggling.
I was surprised they chose Chelsea. I mean, you have to choose different people for different parts, and maybe they thought all she's got to do is walk out there and we pull her back. But I don't think she hasn't volunteered for a lot. There's been a few times she's chosen to sit out, or she said, I'm not a good swimmer, or I'm not good at that. And she didn't shine in this competition either.
Yeah, it was
not saying she wasn't 100% better than I could be. I'm just saying compared to the people on the island.
That's what we're doing. And who did they send out second? Desiree on Navidi, and I can't remember who the other runner was. Was it Libby?
Yes, it was Libby.
It was Libby. And so they were going back and forth, and it was kind of back and forth, whatever. And it was going pretty well. And
Chelsea.
Desiree jumped in the water and kind of went underwater, and they started pulling her back, and she was just like underwater in the.
So that's a lot more resistance for them to be pulling. Plus, she cannot breathe, and if she lets go, her team could lose the challenge. Like I was worried that she was taken in water. That poor girl.
Yeah,
but she held on.
She held on, and so she ultimately did well in that challenge, which was nice to see Desiree step up. And Libby kind of faltered a little bit, and so that kind of kept things kind of balanced between the two. Eventually, getting back up into the bringing whatever those bags were to unlock a combination so they could get a key.
Which I think the Navidi struggled with the combination. That really slowed them down because they were pretty far ahead. We had Chelsea falling off her board, falling off the bridge. Like, Navidi should have had a decent lead, and then all of a sudden Malolo catches up because they got their combination on the first try. So I'm not sure what all was involved in that, but it was a quick catch-up.
It was a quick catch-up.
So then they got that slide puzzle. Man, I hate those things when it's just for fun. If I'm just sitting in a chair trying to slide, I get super irritated. And the idea of racing and trying to...
And having that pressure and everybody's hollering at you.
Oh, my
and,
gosh.
That would be rough.
It was tricky because they had to leave some letters up that were where they belong. Like, they had to have the O from Ghost had to stay up instead of sliding it into its slot where you think it should in order to make all the other letters move around. And some players guessed that ahead of time. They're like, you got to leave the O up there. Like, what are they talking about? But sure enough, like, their minds just work. When you say you're good at puzzles, I guess that's what they're saying.
Yeah. And
I would say I'm good at puzzles because I enjoy a jigsaw puzzle.
Yeah, but
it's different.
Yeah, it's a little bit different. So James and Dominic pulled through, and they crushed that puzzle. James was... it's fun to see him really kind of shine tonight.
I don't think anybody hardly remembers him failing to swim
faltering.
down.
Yeah. And then Bradley and Kellen, they lost for Malolo again. So this is 4 challenges Malolo has lost in a row.
Kellen was like sad about that, and it's surprising. I mean, you're sad because you lose, but she like took it all on herself, and to me it was like a team losing effort. So maybe she really pushed to do the slide puzzle in a certain way and it wasn't working, and maybe that's why she took responsibility. But she was crying and saying that she let everybody down, and it's risky to say that because then people could be like, oh, I guess she did, let's vote her out.
Yeah, but then Jeff was like, yeah, you're sad, Kellen, but that's not going to... Or you feel responsible, but that's not going to change anything. One of the 3 old Malolo are going, right? Yeah,
we know it's
absolutely.
5 versus 3. Yeah.
So, well, I still feel bad, but I'm definitely not going home. So
that's 4 in a row. Malolo lost 4 in a row. 2 reward and 2 immunity. That's real bad.
Yeah, and so we know going into it that one of the 3, Jenna or Stephanie or Michael are going to go home, and that they did a good job in the edit. They kind of put it all over the place.
Yeah.
Could have been anyone.
Yeah, the strong 5, really talked about all 3 of them. All 3 went on their own to try to work their way in or to try to avoid getting voted out. We had Jenna deciding to do a little flirting. She said that she knows that her face just looks annoyed, and she's made it sound like she does it on purpose. Like, I have a face that just looks annoyed and mad all the time, and I have to take that off. And another point, when she said it, it was kind of like that's what she does to protect herself.
Yeah. Well, I've heard her talk in an interview about RBF.
Oh, yeah.
That's
a thing.
And so...
Resting bee face, for anybody who's not sure.
And she's trying to fight that back, but I think with all the kind of hopelessness of her situation, it's just been tough. And so we saw her kind of push past that and force herself to kind of flirt with Seabass tonight, and I thought it was great. She did what she had to do, and all 3 of them had to say, I'm willing to vote against the rest of the tribe, and that's
what you have to do. That's not a loyalty issue. That's a staying in the game issue. So, yeah, they wondered if their hair still smelled good. I guess they got to use special shampoos somewhere.
I guess
I don't know.
I don't remember that.
And Seabass is like, dare. You can't, I bet you can't braid or something ridiculous.
Like weird. Yeah, that was a weird.
Okay.
And so Desiree and Sebastian wanted to vote for Stephanie, and Colin and Chelsea wanted to vote for Jenna, and Michael was like, we need to get rid of... Oh, no.
Bradley.
Bradley was like, we need to get rid of Michael. And I'm just like, what are you talking about?
They really made it seem like for a while that's what everybody decided on. They're going to get rid of Michael. And we're like, he's the only other strong person on your whole tribe. You're losing and losing and losing. You've got to keep somebody with that strength.
Yeah.
I mean, the girls are strong, but there's some serious muscle activities, and it does help to have a really muscular guy.
Yep, absolutely. And so we go to tribal council, and Jeff is pretty much just talking to the 3 people that are about to get voted out.
Yeah.
And
I do have that Kellen mentioned that one sentence could have changed the collective mind of the strong 5. And I wonder if Stephanie said, spoiler alert, I wonder if she said or did something that made everybody turn to vote her out.
Yeah, I don't know.
I mean, I think she was saying it was so close. Like,
we
were all over the board, and it, maybe it was even one sentence said through Sebastian or said through somebody else that was just convincing enough that made everybody vote the way they did.
Yeah, I think Jenna's connection with Sebastian saved her. I think Michael just campaigning for, you really, it only makes sense to keep me. And again, an 18-year-old is just like, let's think about this logically.
And
even
he
if I'm
didn't
only
fly off
here
the handle. He
through
didn't
these
get mad at people. He just
challenges, you can get, don't worry about me till the merge.
Yep.
We can at least get there because you're just going to continue losing. So I thought that was brilliant. It got to the point where it's like Stephanie is the only option here.
Yep, absolutely.
And she left, and she was very, very sad, but we will see her. I don't know. I guess she's not in the jury. We may never see her again.
Not really, no.
I follow her on Twitter, so I still see her periodically.
Okay, good. Did her kids forgive her?
I hope
for not
so.
winning? I hope so,
yeah,
too.
I always think like, oh my, I'm going to go home and they're going to be let down. Like, what is wrong with your family that they would be let down?
Yeah.
Like, you look at you're trying and you're doing great. And
yeah.
So good job.
Jeff did ask, is voting the strongest a smart move for the 5 that's in the lead, and voting out the strongest? And so luckily they did keep Michael this time, but I think he was asking the same question. We were quit voting out the strong people. So what was surprising is at the very end they'll show you who everybody voted for, and up until then we didn't realize that Jenna and Michael had also both voted for Stephanie. So Stephanie was the only person who didn't, and she voted for Desiree. So they were showing their loyalty to the 5.
And so, it was kind of a step in that direction, but that it's not going to make any difference.
Well, it will because we saw the previews for next week.
Yes, on next week we are having a tribe swap. And so all this talk of old Malolo and new Malolo.
Hopefully they rename them something entirely
new. That would be
new.
really helpful.
Jeff said we're starting Ghost Island over again or something like that.
That would be really great.
So hopefully they're different names, but we'll still have to say old. I don't even know how we'll say it.
I can't believe how many times in this podcast I'm like, it was old. Wait, what am I talking? I don't even know what I'm talking about anymore.
Yes, I know.
But we're weeding the people out, so it's just going to get easier and more clear as the show progresses.
Yeah. So if, say, Michael and Bradley end up on the same team from here on out, Michael showing that he was willing to vote for Stephanie could make Bradley willing to team up with him on the new tribe.
Yes.
And I don't know how much of these original Navidi Malolo lines will matter when we get these whole new tribes.
It is going to start getting very convoluted. You need more than 1 or 2 people, so you're going to have to join with some people from old tribes or whatever. So I'm glad it gives us some hope for the old Malolo people that are left. They may still have some fight in them.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
I would love to see Michael play deep into the game. Many people on Navidi, I'm happy that they've not been to tribal council because there's so many people on that team that I like. I'm a big Wendell fan. I really like Laurel. I really like Donathan.
Yeah. You like Chris, obviously.
Chris is growing on me. So, yeah, it'll be interesting. Can't wait for next week.
Yes. So we'd like to end by saying who we think outwitted, who we think outplayed, and who we think outlasted in this particular episode. So let's start with...
The outplay had to be Chris.
Outplay because of the arm.
Because of the arm. And he just
arm.
dominated. And I don't know, in the immunity challenge, all I really think of is how Chelsea did not do that well and how Libby did not do that well.
Right.
James
I don't think there was
and
one
Dominic
person
did well.
that shone in that. It was more of a team effort.
Yeah, and
yeah,
so this
I think you're right. Chris
was
outplayed.
Chris, and interesting, Chris got the outplay last week, too.
I know. He's just racking up the wins.
Dominating. So we should send him a little medal. So that's my vote. Are you down with that?
Yes.
All right. Who outwitted?
I'm going to go Jenna, and it's because I don't understand. There's really no reason to choose to vote out Stephanie rather than Jenna. Mm-hmm. If they choose to keep the guy because he's got the muscles, they choose to keep Michael, then they have to decide between these 2 girls. I honestly think Stephanie might have been a stronger competitor, but they chose Jenna, and I think that her move to take down her mask, and maybe she did that with multiple players. Maybe she tried to bond with multiple players, not just Sebastian, but whatever she did kept her in the game, and I think it was smart.
Yeah, I completely agree. So, Jenna, good job. You got the Outwit Award. Now, who outlasted? Who outlasted could be Michael. I think there's a...
Yes, I do. I think it is. Their
used
tribe would have been
his
stupid to vote him out.
Skills to convince them they were going that direction. Bradley, the leader, quote-unquote leader, was going that way. And I think And the fact that Michael can not... It would be easy to get riled up, and I don't like Bradley.
Yeah,
and
absolutely,
I
no matter how old you are.
And he didn't. He was just absolutely cool and calm and collected and just like, hey, the whole time. I loved it. So I agree.
At this point, I hope he outlasts them all. I want Michael to win.
You do.
Youngest survivor winner ever.
That would be awesome.
Wouldn't that be fun?
I'd be all
You
all
probably
about
want
that.
a Michael Chris finale.
Michael
Who would anybody
Chris,
even vote for?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I'm also a big fan of those other guys on Navidi too.
I
So
know. We do
we'll
have
see.
a lot. You do have a lot.
still-
But after this episode, as much screen time as he got, I'm a Michael fan.
Awesome. Well, thank you guys so much for joining us on Segments As Spoken, a Survivor fan cast. We are really excited to do the show, and you can contact us or let us know your thoughts if you're watching Survivor along with us. You can contact us on Instagram, Facebook, or Twitter at SegmentsCast, or you can shoot us an email at segmentscast@gmail.com.
Thank you so much. Have a good night. You can grab your torches and head back to camp.